Hello and welcome to another episode of The Quiet Dream. Australia's team has been named the overall team of 53 athletes for the Milano Cortina Olympic Winter Games, and it is the second largest in history for Australia and the largest since Sochi 2014, and a record 62% of the Australian team that will head to the Milano Cortina Games is female, and that is a record, and it is headlined by some seriously strong female competitors such as Jakara Anthony, Bree Walker, and then this young generation and brigade of freestyle skiers led by Indra Brown as well. So very exciting stuff. And Scotty James very recently a record X Games gold medal in the snowboard halfpipe. So Australian athletes certainly hitting peak form at the right time ahead of the Games in Italy very, very soon. Biathlon was last competed by Australia in Sochi in 2014, and for the first time since then, a competitor will represent Australia at the Olympic Winter Games in biathlon, and that is Darcie Morton, a 26-year-old who used to represent Australia in table tennis as well. So a fascinating young woman, and she is our guest on today's episode. I caught up with Darcie during the qualification battle, and she was looking to secure a wildcard spot. Interesting qualification structure with biathlon where a bulk, the absolute majority of the spots go to a number of nations and established nations. So it can be tricky to secure a spot in biathlon, but Darcie was able to do so and secured the final NOC space for Australia. So congratulations to her and the Australian NOC and having representation in biathlon in Italy very soon. And the venue is a striking one. It's in Aterselva, the Biathlon Arena in Antholz, and it'll be a capacity of 19,000 people. So that is the largest capacity or highest capacity venue at the Games, and they are very excited about this venue as part of the organising committee goes. Elevation 1,700 metres. It's the highest in the World Cup circuit, and it was originally created in 1971. It's hosted 6 World Championships and a suite of World Cup races, and has undergone a heap of renovations and restructures as well. So very excited about the grandstands and the skiing loop and the shooting range and the proximity to spectators in terms of the view that they're able to get there. So Darcie has trained there. We're looking forward to seeing how she goes. And as mentioned, we'll get to that interview very soon. But she continues a great family legacy. Her father, Cameron Morton, competed in Torino 2006, and Darcie and Cameron become the first father-daughter combination to represent Australia at the Olympic Winter Games. So it's a strong team for Darcie. Her father is her coach. Her brother is involved as well, and her father, Cameron, coached Karen Rim at Nagano in 1998, which was one of her 3 Olympic Winter Games appearances, and that was before he competed himself. So Karen Rim is one of Australia's greatest biathletes, certainly the best performer at the Olympic Winter Games for Australia. So a strong family lineage for the Mortons and the biathlon and the Australian team at the Olympic Winter Games. So very excited to see how they go. Historically, Norway, Germany and France, they are the goats of biathlon and are expected to be very strong again. Italy has a strong team. And the USA, interestingly, this time around are keen to secure their first ever Olympic Winter Games medal in biathlon. Kiwi, or former Kiwi, Campbell Wright, who competed for New Zealand at Beijing 2022, is now part of the USA team. He followed his coach across. He was born in New Zealand to American parents and has earned his stripes onto that USA team and has gone from strength to strength since joining the USA program. So a fascinating story in his own right, Campbell Wright. No pun intended, or maybe always intended, but definitely worth having a look into his backstory ahead of the Games if you are interested in that. He only was introduced to biathlon after his neighbours in New Zealand started a cross-country snow farm, and his parents were very keen for the boys to get out and enjoy the outdoors, so they jumped at the chance, and the rest is almost history. So we wish Campbell Wright and the USA team well over in Milano Cortina as well. It starts with the mixed relay on Sunday, the 8th of February, the Milano Cortina Biathlon program, and runs all the way through until Saturday, the 21st, with the women's 12.5 kilometre mass start. Let's get to Darcie. Australia has quite a decent history in biathlon at the Olympic Winter Games, certainly from a representative perspective, but no one has competed at the Olympic Winter Games for Australia since Sochi in 2014. That looks like it is about to change, certainly as far as the wildcard qualification standings are going. And our next guest, Darcie Morton, is a young Australian with a continued big future. Darcie joins us now from Germany. Darcie, hello, how are you?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for your time. Where does qualification sit for you at the moment, and what's coming up? Because it continues until the 18th of January, and a lot of the places go to the top 20 ranked nations. But where is that for you at the moment, and what's ahead?
Yeah, so the last races are on the 15th of January. So little bit earlier than what you stated, but um
Hmm.
yeah, so the first trimester races started about a month ago, and unfortunately I got sick right after the first race, so I had a really crappy start to the season. Um which wasn't great for my point ranking. So when you get sick, it's really hard because your races are like every week. So I got better in within a week, but like then I had to race again, so it's like quite difficult. And I did not perform the way that I really wanted to. So that's why I'm training so hard during this Christmas period. But I've fallen further down the ranking system, but the points to get back there is only around 10 points. I'm off. So it is really still achievable, and there's about like five girls in between that are within those 10 points. But I practically need one good result under, it's through IBQ points, which a lot of people don't really know about, and only the small nations use. So I only need really one good result under 100, um, and or under 80 points, or a couple like two under 100. So this is really quite achievable for me if I shoot well. So I gotta get my shooting on top of
Okay.
it. So I've got three more races to achieve that, and at the moment, yeah, I'm in Repolding, Germany, just training as hard as I can, and yeah, just got my eyes set on that goal. So
It's quite a fascinating combination by pure definition biathlon between the skiing and the shooting. For people who aren't aware, the shooting part is critical in terms of you miss a shot, you ski a penalty loop of 150 meters, and that can genuinely be the difference between winning and losing, or a great result and an okay result, can't it?
yes, yeah, absolutely. And so that's in a sprint race that you have the 150-meter penalty loop, which for women is around, 25, 30 seconds added onto your time.
Hmm.
And in the results, if you compare that, some people will be like a second in between each place. So,
Mm.
if you hit one more shot, you could go up 30 places. So it's like it makes a really big difference. And then to get back 30 seconds on the track is is quite difficult, right? So if you can just, hit another shot or even shoot faster, like so some people are shooting 10 seconds faster than other people to get 10
Hmm.
seconds on the tracks is quite difficult, but to get it on the range is like maybe a bit easier if you're a better shooter. So uh the combination of skiing and shooting is like it makes it a really interesting sport, I think, and it changes up the winners a lot more than a sport like cross country, I guess.
Hmm. And how did you get started in biathlon? Because you're from Victoria, you were quite a talented table tennis player as well and represented Australia. How
Yeah.
did you then get involved in biathlon? I know there's a strong family connection, but when did the decision come for you to start focusing on that?
Yeah, so I guess I've always been skiing since I could kind of walk, and I've always been just tagging along with my brother and my dad's training. So my brother used to also be in the sport in World Cup, and but it kind of really began in 2016 when I was 16, and the Youth Olympics were coming up for the Winter Youth Olympics. So I had to decide whether I wanted to continue with table tennis or, really focus on biathlon because at that point I was just, skiing during the winter and then I was still training more than the average girl, I guess, with normal like running and riding and kayaking. And so I like to do lots of sports and that's what you
Hmm.
need for an endurance sport. But yeah, like you said, because it's a family sport, the family sport, I kind of wanted to go more that way and I wanted to be more in the outdoors than what table tennis provided. And um, yeah, it was a big turning point in my life, 16 years old. So I went to Youth Olympics and I got 16th place there and it was like a very, very cool event. And yeah, I just didn't look back from there, I guess.
Do you still play table tennis if you're in an environment there's a table? Do you
Yeah.
still sort of show off your wares, or is it a case of no, I can't get involved in that. Those days are gone.
I played a bit in uni. I joined a table tennis club, and then I always bring my table tennis bat with me just in the car, just in case, because I don't want to use one of those crappy, recreational ones. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely, it's a nice party trick.
love that for sure. Yeah, you don't want the rubber sort of hanging off one side, do you?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
that's the stitch up.
yeah.
So, what does a typical season look like for you in and around what you're doing over in Europe?
Yeah. So this season was a little bit different to the others because it was an Olympic year. So I only spent May in Australia, and
Hmm.
then I went back to Europe in June, and I joined a Norwegian club called Team Intersport in Lillehammer, and I trained
Hmm.
from June to November with that team. And then my World Cup season starts end of November. So we have the first trimester of races, which is three World Cups until Christmas. And then we have like a 2 week Christmas break, and then another trimester of races. So another three races, and then another three. So it World Cup finishes in end of March. And then I usually go home for a little bit, and I usually do have Christmas, winter in Australia, June, July, August. But
Hmm.
um, like I said, this year I spent the European summer in Europe. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's what it like the very rough breakdown, I guess.
Hmm. And what's the scene like in Australia? Because there's only one sort of dedicated or designated biathlon range in Australia,
Okay.
isn't there? At Mount Hotham. What
Yeah.
what is the community like, and what's that like representing that? Given the famous connection within that to your father and brother and that circuit.
Um, it's a growing community, I would say. Like Biathlon Australia is doing a really good job of getting a lot of young people into the sport, and I think my dad and my brother are also helping with that as coaches. So it's definitely still a very small community. So like you said, it's the only biathlon range in Australia, and you can only ski and shoot or run and shoot. So in Europe, you can usually roller ski and shoot. So they have like a paved ground where you can practice
Hmm.
biathlon when there's no snow. So unfortunately, we don't have that. So with climate change, there's a lot of lack of snow, and then we can't ski there as long. Um, I think this year was actually different, which I miss, and the snow was very, very good. But apart from that, it's been quite difficult. Um, so I think that's the difficulties that it's like such an isolated place. So you have to go there for like a month or two to train. And because Australia is such a big country, everyone lives like in Sydney and Melbourne, and I live in Far East Gippsland. So we can't train together. So there's no team or clubs like in Europe where you can just train. So this is going a bit off topic, but in Lillehammer, where I was staying, it's practically one of the biggest populations of biathlon and cross country skiers almost in the world because it's just such a good place to train. So many like good facilities and things like that. So we just don't have that kind of community in Australia, which yeah, it's just not possible because the sport's not like AFL football. It's not
Mhm.
big and well known. But yeah, that's kind of why I have to go overseas to train more.
Mhm. I haven't mentioned it sort of in this interview, but your father, Cameron, was an Olympian, is an Olympian, competed at the Torino Olympic Winter Games in 2006, and was also an accomplished coach. There's a nice little connection to Italy there for the family ahead of
Yes.
Milano Cortina
Yeah.
potentially, and you've spent a bit of time at that Olympic venue as well. What can you tell us about that venue and sort of hopefully following in those footsteps?
Yeah. Um, so the venue is one of the highest altitude venues in the World Cup circuit. So it's 1,600 meters and it's quite a difficult entry to the range, like notoriously difficult
Hmm.
because you have to go up into the range. So you always have quite a lot of pulse when you shoot. Um, it's a really beautiful place right in the mountains. And yeah, my dad raced there, so it's kind of cool that then the Olympics that I'm trying to get to is also the same one. Um, and I often based in Obertiliac, which is about 45 minutes drive from there. So we'd often visit there. And in November, I also did an altitude camp there with some help from some Australian and European sponsors. So um, got to experience and get used to the track and experience the altitude and the range. So yeah, I think almost every World Cup team did an altitude camp there just because the Olympics are at altitude and um, yeah, practicing at that range is really important for going into a competition there.
What differentiates sort of the approach for the different ranges? Is it the fatigue and the altitude, or is it sort of the how everything's set up and the entry points and things like that, or is there quite a similarity between ranges?
Bit of both. So, um, I would say there's quite a big difference between ranges. For example, where I'm staying in now in Ruhpolding, there's practically no altitude. So you come in with a lot more breath, like you can breathe a lot
Hmm.
easier, I guess. Because there's more oxygen in the air. So, and then the way that you come into the range, it's like a little bit of a hill, and then you go down and flat. So it's much easier just to glide and slow down a little bit. But in Antholz, you have to go up and then flat and around into the range. So you can't stop pushing when you go up, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of
Hmm.
time, and it's not really worth it. So you have to continue to push where so that keeps your heart rate up, and it's harder to shoot with a higher heart rate, I guess.
Hmm.
But that's kind of what shooting is more going into. Like you don't want to lose as much time coming into the range, so you just learn to shoot with a higher heart rate anyway. But it's still
Hmm.
more difficult.
Yeah, they're quite proud of that as far as a games organisation perspective goes in that area, that they've set up the range almost that people are skiing in towards the crowd and adding that
Yes.
element of difficulty. But
Yeah.
it is a beautiful setting, as you say, and will be spectacular for the 19,000 is the capacity of the biathlon
Well,
centre, and
yeah.
that's the highest capacity of any venue. So
Mm.
the scenes will be amazing for everyone watching on from Australia. What should people be focusing on specifically uh, to get the most out of sort of enjoying biathlon at an Olympic Games sort of level, and being able to follow what the athletes are doing?
What should they be focusing on? I mean, there's just like so much if you actually go and visit like Antholz, that's like an incredible environment. I mean, you said 19,000, but we usually have around, I think, 50,000 people at the
Mm, wow.
German event. So I think that's just the stadium capacity. And then people can just go on the tracks as well, and they put TVs out on the tracks. And
Hmm.
so the actual field on where the one hill is, well, the one big hill at the stadium can probably fit another, 20,000, maybe not 20,000 people, but a lot of people on that hill. So, and the cool thing about Antholz is you can stand, maybe not all over the track, but on a lot of the track. Also on Ruhpolding, it's like a really cool place where you can have everyone on the track and then they're cheering for you around the whole track, I guess. So that's kind of cool.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people kind of focus on the shooting because that's the most interesting, I guess. And it's where
Hmm.
the winners maybe change up a lot. But I think just to see, the fastest people in the world compete against each other is pretty cool. And yeah, they're pretty amazing at their jobs. So yeah, I think any part of biathlon is pretty cool to focus on. But
And there are so many iconic storylines that come out of every Olympic Winter Games. Legends of the sport, Domracheva, uh, Royceland, the Boy brothers in Beijing as well, and Martin Fourcade too. But a lot of those legends have now retired. Who are some of the major names that people should be keeping an eye on? Because Italy's got some good athletes, but they've never
mhm.
won a gold medal in biathlon. And do you sometimes get swept up in the majesty of some of the international teams competing at those World Cup events?
Oh, definitely. I definitely have a sense of sometimes that I don't belong at all because it's
Hmm.
being around those people, but I'm getting a little bit better at it each year. The big names coming out, I mean, there's still so many people. Like you said, Dorothy Vera is Italian, and
Hmm.
she's won one of the World Cups this year. But she could be a really good contender for like an individual at least. She's very much on her game this year. Um, and then Lisa Vitozzi, of course. So I think the Italians actually have a really good chance this year. Um, that's for the women. The men, I mean, any of the Norwegians. So,
Hmm.
and any of the French are doing very well this year as well.
Hmm.
So a lot of the Frenchmen like Eric Perrault and Campbell Wright is also used to be
Hmm.
from New Zealand, now races for US. I'm
Hmm.
crossing my fingers for him, and yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about biathlon. Like, it's not always just the fastest skier on the day. It's the person that can put both
Hmm.
disciplines together, and that's what makes it like, really interesting.
You talk about how difficult sometimes it is to feel that sense of belonging, and I imagine it's quite isolating at times. All of the travel and being Australia's number one biathlete and having to do a lot of it off your own bat. How how can people get behind you and support you on this journey? And what are some of the challenges that you face in terms of that consistency and pushing yourself? And where does the drive come from?
Yeah, I think like it being an individual sport, you have to do a lot of and an endurance sport, you have to do a lot of long hours of training by yourself. And I think um I've struggled with that in the past. I love training, so I don't mind the long hours, but I think normally people have a team around them, and that's what I've really benefited from this year being in a Norwegian team. Um, just having, people to motivate you in the training and push you in the intervals and stuff like that. So that's been an incredible like eye opener to see that it's like quite enjoyable when you have a team around you. And I think that's what I struggle with on World Cup because I'm the only one at the moment. And we actually have some people coming through now, which is like really, really great to see. So maybe in the next years we'll have a bit of a team on World Cup as well, which will be really cool. But yeah, in the past it's been difficult because everyone travels with their team, and I travel with my dad and my brother, and I'm so lucky
Hmm.
to be supported by them and have them in the sport. But they're not other athletes, so I feel a lot of pressure on myself to, they're just here for me, and I've got to perform, and I've yeah. So um, it's great also that biathlon is like more of a family. So I have a lot of friends from Greenland and Croatia and all the other little nations in Great Britain that I'm really good friends with. So we kind of all have very small teams. Um, so we all support each other and train with each other as well. Um, and yeah, you can get behind me. I have an ASF project, Australian Sports Foundation, where you can make a tax deductible donation there, and yeah, support me through this journey. That would be really cool.
Where are some of your favourite places to just get away from the cut and thrust of the competition? Do you have any go-to places throughout Europe that you've established as that happy place, or even just
Mm,
places where you travel to
mm.
compete that just you look forward to and circle?
Um, I'm always in a different place, so I'm traveling
Hmm.
practically every few weeks on World Cup, and then I mean this time was the first time I've like stayed in one place in Lillehammer, but which I really love. So anywhere running in the like in Lillehammer, I really like that. Or
Hmm.
um I just find a mountain and I just walk up it if I really want to get away from people. Um,
Hmm.
Otherwise, anywhere in particular. Um, yeah, I guess I'm always in a different place, so it's easier just to find like a forest or some mountains and then just go and run through there or ski if there's snow.
Hmm. And I imagine it's that purity of biathlon and that primitive nature of the skiing and the hunting and that survival side of things that there's clarity and peace, I suppose, in that too, in the history of the sport.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, definitely something about it as well. And just yeah, I think anything to do with exercise, it just makes me feel like it's just how I kind of relax. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, pretty much.
Well, not too long to go, Milano Cortina and the biathlon competition in one of the iconic venues on the World Cup circuit will make its Olympic Games debut. And Darcie, a huge achievement to put yourself in the frame to qualify, and we wish you all the best over the next few weeks and beyond.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me.